Hey everybody, another video. It's gonna be a short one, instead of going too far in. And I know if anybody's gonna leave comments, will be the atheists who are angry and mad and telling me to go to hell and all the good stuff.
In my experience, it's normally not the atheist saying you should go to hell. I mean, it's literally part of your doctrine, and many Christians like to use it to threaten and coerce non-believers to join your religion. And man, it feels weird seeing my avatar. I haven't done a response video in a while, but I need more time to research my video about witchcraft. I saw your video and decided to give it a whirl. I promise not to tell you to go to hell, and I'm not angry or anything. So roll the intro and let's jump in.
But what I find interesting is I wonder how deep atheists understand the origins of what is now considered atheism.
The origins or the history? Because the origins, as far as I can tell, would be the moment someone said they believed in God and someone else said they didn't believe in any gods. Now, they didn't call them atheists. The word atheist is a fairly modern word, having not been used until the 18th century, but if you're just talking about lacking a belief or believing gods don't exist, atheism is probably nearly as old as theism itself. Hell, you might argue it's older, since before the concept of a deity was invented, people didn't believe in that concept, and so they could be accurately described as atheists. But I'm fine with just using the term to describe someone who has heard the God concept, investigated it, and doesn't believe in it if you want.
So, I mean, you can go way back, and it does. It literally goes way back to, I believe his name was Thales, and he was very into paganism. Very much Babylonian mathematics, but he was very into paganism, and he was considered the beginning of the atheist, so to speak, before the word atheism became an actual word.
Alright, so no writings by Thales survived, which means we're left with taking the word of other people who wrote about him, such as Aristotle, who credited him with being the, quote, the first person to investigate the basic principles, the question of the originating substances of matter, and, therefore, as the founder of the school of natural philosophy, end quote. Thales was interested in many things, but he particularly seemed interested in the first cause and the substance of the universe, which he thought was water. He also believed the earth was flat and rested on water. While he does seem to dismiss gods as being the cause of being, he did claim that, quote, all things are full of gods, end quote. And Aristotle wrote, quote, Thales, too, to judge from what is recorded of his views, seems to suppose that the soul is in a sense the cause of movement, since he says that a stone, magnet or lodestone, has a soul because it causes movement to iron, end quote. However, it's unclear whether Thales meant soul, as in supernatural soul, or merely meant it as a way to describe natural forces or energy, such as the magnetism he was observing. There's also no evidence that he was an atheist, although it's possible. The gods don't seem to have played a role in his teachings. There's also no real evidence that he was very into paganism, as you assert. Without evidence, I might add.
But, and it goes throughout, and we talk about Socrates and Plato. Heck, Socrates never wrote anything down, so we're just going by the words of Plato and so forth. But we'll get all into that. There's a lot to unravel there, and a lot of people stick to basic areas, but follow the trail. I always say the fruits, follow the breadcrumbs back. People only go as far back as Christopher Hitchens, or they'll go to, or maybe even Nietzsche, or Marx, another one, Karl Marx. Atheism has its roots in paganism.
No, but you know what does have its roots in paganism? Christianity. As I said earlier, I'm currently researching the belief in witches, and it's fascinating to see how Christians often took beliefs in pagan gods and goddesses and intertwined them with their own theology and beliefs about Satan. For example, witches were often said to ride with Diana, who was the pagan goddess of fertility, woodlands, and animals, among other things. Bishop Burchard of Worms said, quote, some wicked women, turning back to Satan and seduced by the illusions and phantasms of demons, believe that in the night hours they ride on certain animals with the pagan goddess Diana and a countless multitude of women, and they cross a great span of the world in the stillness of the dead of night, end quote. As I outlined in my video, Why Demons Matter, The belief in Satan and demons is heavily influenced by pagan religions. Christian holidays such as Easter have their roots in paganism. In other words, if you follow the breadcrumbs of Christianity back like you suggest, you'll find paganism.
And people go, well, yeah, because they're against the gods. Well, Thale was a worshiper of pagans. See, he never said, or has never, there's no story. It's assumed that Thales was against gods. He was never against gods. From the understanding that I've acquired over time is he never denounced God.
Like I said earlier, none of his writings survived. There's no account of him being an atheist or pagan. He could have been either. However, he heavily influenced Aristotle and Plato, and they were both pagans and both very important to Christianity. Once again, it's not atheism that is influenced by pagans, but Christianity.
He denounced gods, and then somehow it turned into God.
You lost me. He denounced God or gods? Because as an atheist, I don't believe in a single god or a multitude of gods. Some Christians always want to make this bizarre distinction between God or gods. But when I tell you I'm an atheist, I'm telling you that I don't believe in any God concept that I've ever heard. Not one, not a pantheon, not an all-powerful God, not a limited God, just none.
He was opposed to gods in general at one point because he felt his sacrifices. Now, there's different transcripts, and it was a lot of work to really dig deep into this. And by the way, none of it was Christian research. I make sure sometimes I don't use Christian research because someone will tell me, oh, well, that's because you were a Christian author. Nope, not at all.
Good for you. I'm glad that you try to limit your confirmation bias by cross-referencing with non-religious sources. But, I don't see any sources.
So, eliminate that. So, you go all the way back to Thales. You go through Plato, Socrates, all the way back. All the way back. Again, to Thales, if I'm pronouncing his name. Pretty close to Thanos from that movie Avengers, huh? Gee, any correlation in that movie with modern day gods, so to speak? I'm just throwing it out there.
No, there's no correlation. In fact, if you're trying to draw some sort of correlation or line from Thanos to atheism, you'd once again meet the roadblock that is Christianity, since it's the name of several Christian saints. It's almost as if paganism came before Christianity, and Christianity stole from those religions.
But atheism has its roots in paganism. It's just that simple. And people are like, oh, it's not that simple. There's a lot more research to do. Well, then do the research too.
It's good to do your own research, but if you're going to make a video, might I suggest you do some research and link your sources in the description box. And it obviously isn't that simple. And you can look at my sources. I'll have them linked in the description box. Thanks for watching. I'm still working on my witchcraft video, but it's a huge topic and I'll try to get it out as soon as possible. In the meantime, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, take care, and cheers.
You take me home, invite me in. The lights go down and we begin.